Hey, my name's Steve, and this is a video about knives. Not a big deal video, just a kind of a little informative video. We're going to look at the prize knife, and that is this more robust. It won't be this one, it'll be a new one. But this is a wonderful knife, fills the palm. It's got a nice palm swell on the handle. Um, It is a carbon steel knife. You do need to keep a little oil on it from time to time. It's got a Scandi grind on it, which is great for woodworking and pretty easy to keep sharp in the field or out in the boonies or your backyard for that matter. So we're going to look at this, and I'm also going to look at another Mora. Now I could get out one of the fancy knives, one of the more expensive knives, and that, but these are the ones I use a lot, and I use them for a reason because they're good knives. I don't have to have any serration on these to cut a rope with; they cut just fine. One of the ways that I sharpen knives is I use sandpaper. I start off with a larger grit and I go down until I get onto a fine grit. This is about a 320, which is fairly fine for a knife. But you see what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay this on a mouse pad, and I'm going to use that grind right there. That you see that bevel right there, and I'm going to lay it down in such a way that just lays on there, and I'm going to raise it up until I can't see any shadow anymore. And I'm just going to rub it back and forth, keeping that angle. You do one side, you do the other. You can look at your knife and tell if you're doing it right, if you're doing it correctly. Again, this is a carbon steel knife. Carbon steel will change color. It'll get a patina. You can force a patina with an apple or vinegar or mustard. Put that on your blade and let it set a bit, and then go ahead and wipe it off, wash it off, and it will put a patina, which is that dark color. A patina is kind of a forced rust. It's been called a white rust, and it kind of preserves the knife. It stops the red rust or the steel eating rust from pitting and damaging your knife. So a lot of people will put a forced patina on carbon steel blades. I do routinely because I feel it offers a great level of protection. And just to be honest, I kind of like the look of the knife that way. You can see here where I've sharpened before, the steel comes off when you sharpen it. In fact, a little drawing here, so I don't know if we can do this or not. Let's say you get some breaks in your blade right there. Okay? The only way you're going to get those out is to sharpen them out. You won't be able to strop them out or hone them out. You're going to have to take away steel to get it sharp. You're going to take away all the steel around that those little breaks in the blade there, those little nicks. And so you're going to remove all of this steel until you get back behind that nick, and then that'll give you a true blade once again. So when you sharpen a knife, you're removing steel. I have seen blades that look goofy as heck because they've been sharpened so much. Now, it's expeditious to do so with, like if you're, for example, if you're working on a large animal or something like that, it's very expeditious to go ahead and sharpen your knife quickly while you work. A lot of people will do that with a butcher steel, and there are different kinds of steels, but these have little lines in them, and they're a harder steel than most of your knives. And that's very important because if it's not a harder steel, it's not going to work. And you literally, and you've seen them do it in the, on TV or chefs do it, you simply find your angle on your knife and you run it across. And what this does is it realigns your knife. It doesn't necessarily remove steel. It just causes where your knife blade has folded over a little from use, it rubs it off and brings it back straight and true. Now you can use any kind of a blade or any kind of an abrasive surface to sharpen your knife. You could use a rock. I like sandpaper, but I use stone, water stone, and you can tell when your knife starts to get sharp because it runs smooth on these abrasives. I use paper to check check the sharpness, and I use paper because paper is it's a good standard to go by, you know. Now, you can see the difference here between a cut, which is this, and a tear, which is this. A knife will push through paper, and it might not necessarily be sharp. Now that is a cut, and that is a tear. You're looking for the cut. I mentioned stropping before. This is stropping, and you can make a strop really easily. You can take your belt and turn it around and use the back side of your belt. If it's leather, or I've used wood to strop in a pinch. I've seen where somebody used a glass or the car window. But you can take a piece of wood there and just put some leather on it on both sides and lay it down, find that bevel where that is, and just run it like that. What you're doing when you do that is you're realigning, just like we would do with the steel. You're realigning that edge. See how much larger this robust is? It's robust. It's a neat case. Got a little hole in it so water can drip out. It's got a handle on there, and I have been known to take this handle and put over a button and wear it like that, and that way I can pull it out. Works real well for that, but it's actually designed so that if you were using some of the more recent Moras, you can piggyback these one on top of another. So you might have this Mora on your side for woodworking, and then have another one here for finer work. I don't know how that'd work out, but anyway. Now this does happen to have a I don't know if you can see it right here. See that in the blade? Well, that's a little. That tells me we need to sharpen. Simple stropping's not going to get that out. And you can feel it when you run your finger across it. Be careful doing that. Another way, and a lot of people do it this way, is take your nail and just run it across your nail. And when you get to that spot, you will feel your nail will divot into the nick. So we are going to have to sharpen this. I don't know if this 320 will do it or not. Maybe have to take it to a deeper, a more granular abrasive, such as a 100 or a 150. We're going to try it here. One thing about sharpening a knife on a mouse pad like this is inevitably you are going to get what is called a convex edge on your knife. And I prefer a convex edge because it is a more general, all-around use edge. Some people like other types of edges, and that's fine, and they all have their uses. You can see the metal coming off on the sandpaper. That's another way you know that you're doing good there. And it's the metal's actually coming off, because that's what you're doing. You're removing the metal. I've often heard it said that a sharp knife is you're more likely to hurt yourself on a dull knife than you would a sharp knife. I don't know. I've cut myself many times on a sharp knife. I think the thing is, when you do cut yourself with a dull edge, what you're going to do is the cut is going to be much harder to heal, and it's going to be more blunt, whereas a sharp knife will cut. And you don't have to do a lot of this, but some knives you'll find if they've got they'll need a lot of work. You may have to use a stone. And one stone I like to use, and I've just got it handy here, so I'll show you, are these little pucks. They run about $4 or $5. They've got 2 edges on them, and you got a rougher side and another side. Put a little oil on it. And the reason you put oil on them is not for the blade; it's for the sharpener, so that you can it doesn't become saturated to where it loses its ability to sharpen. You lose your aggressive because it gets laden with the steel from the knife. I should put a little on here, but it'll be all right. All right, I can feel this, and we are making progress. I appreciate your patience with me. Let's see where we're at here, just by another thing people do a lot of times, and from time to time when I remember, I do it. And that is, after you're sharpening, you take your blade and you just run it across something like that, real easy, just to get all the stuff off. I think we're almost there. That's looking better to me. I don't have to have my knives super sharp. They really don't have to be that way for me, but I do like them to cut paper. That way, as I said, there's a standard by which I can judge how sharp it is and for the needs that I have. I'm not going to belabor this and continue this video with you as I sharpen this, because that's something I can do all on my own. But I can tell you this, I enjoy it immensely. It gives me time to think and pray and meditate. And, it's a thing where you're taking something that is a lot like I was, pretty rough, and turning it into something that can be usable. And God did that for me. He sharpened me. He honed me. He threw me away and got a new blade. But, it's still me. I'm still unique to me. But so there we go. I'm going to pretty much stop this video here in a second. But you can see this is going to be a nice knife for whoever wins to have. It'll be a really nice knife to have around the house. Could you use it for defense? Well, sure, you can use any knife for defense. But a knife is a tool. And in the right hands, it can do a lot of things. All right. Enjoy the contest.